The root cause of all the problems we have in South Africa is Bantu education and its after effects. The generation of Yabas, a battalion of zombies engineered to defend what Bas has said. From 1953 up until 1994, people were being programmed to ignore facts, to ignore evidence, to ignore points, and only focus on what Bas has said. I did a research on the internet and I read, a person who was born in 1953 is now 72 years old. The one who was born in 1994 is now 31 years old. And they are now the CEOs in our government departments. They are now the pastors that we see in our churches. And these people are products of Bantu education. People who ignore facts. People who hate reasoning capacity. People who only want to defend what Bas has said. The Education and Training Act of 1979 in South Africa essentially controlled the education of black people by placing it under the Department of Education and Training, effectively creating a separate, segregated education system for different racial groups under apartheid. So now, these people were being taught differently. White people were taught with Western education, but black South African people were being taught Bantu education. That's why today, when I make my videos, I was surprised to find a white pastor calling me and discussing and saying we share the same ideas. The things you are saying are the things I am teaching. But black pastors, they will call me to say, stop what you are doing. You are contradicting what Bas has said. But Bas is calling me and he understands me because he is not a product of Bantu education. But these ones who are products of Bantu education, they will call and argue with facts. They say with the primary goal of providing basic education tailored to manual labor jobs for black South Africans, they were trained to become dagger boys. They were trained to become people who are just going to work under Bas and just take the commands of Bas. Manual labor jobs. The Bas will come with a plan and design a house and do everything, and he will just say, you are going to be the bricklayer. You are going to be a dagger boy. You are just going to be the one we are going to send around to go and buy us food. That's what they were trained for. So now these people were not taught to reason. When Bas says this, Bas has said that, and we must be fine with it. And now these people are the ones leading companies. And people who are going to school today, when they get to their jobs and they want to implement what they were taught at school, now the product of Bantu education is at the top. And he is disturbing all their plans. He will say, your idea is good. You will implement it when you are a CEO. For now, we go with what Bas has taught me. You cannot change those guys. That's why it is so difficult for us as South Africans to find change. When I made the video to say Adam was not the first person, he was the first person to be made in the image of God. People cannot understand, even when I'm providing them with facts. I'm bringing facts. I'm bringing evidence. And these people still, they cannot take it. Even now, if I ask you, if Adam is 6,000 years old, how is it that we are finding evidence that says the Homo sapien is 300,000 years old? But a person who is a product of Bantu education will come and defend what Bas told them when they were giving them Christianity. Bas came and said, Adam is the first man. Even though the Bible doesn't say that, the Bible is clear about that part. And I proved it in my previous video, but the product of Bantu education are dying to protect what Bas has said. Acts chapter 17, verse 2 to 3. And on 3 Sabbath days, he reasoned with them from the scriptures. This is Paul. He reasoned. We must reason. That's why now the product of Bantu education, they hate Ma 2000. They call Ma 2000 unruly. They call Ma 2000 disrespectful. Because Ma 2000, they want the reasons. They don't just want the person who will just come and say, accept this. Ma 2000 want answers. They question everything. And the generation of Yabas, they don't have the answers. So they get angry when Ma 2000 asks them questions. And now the 2000s are now 25 years old. They are now in companies. They are questioning Yabas, who is in a top position. And Yabas is saying, these kids don't want to work. These kids don't want to listen. These kids are disrespectful because they were trained to question. They want facts. They want answers. They want evidence. They want proof. They cannot just take what Bas has said. But the CEO is Yabas. Explaining and proving that it was necessary for Christ to suffer and rise from the dead. This is what Paul was doing. He was explaining and proving. Explaining and proving. Now the pastor wants to go and stand on the pulpit and teach, and when people ask him, where does God come from? He gets angry. He says, when you start asking such questions, you are going to be struck by lightning. It is a generation of fear. They are threatening someone who is coming with new information. Since I started this online church, people, they hate me. Pastors, they hate me. Prophets, they hate me because I am ridiculing their old ways of teaching. Because now I am reading the Bible from my own perspective. I am not reading the Bible based on what Bas taught me. I am coming with my own mind. I am applying my own mind. What God is showing me, I am bringing it to you. Whether it contradicts what Bas taught you, it is not my problem. And I'm not going to argue with you about that. Stop calling my phone and telling me that I am not called. I am called. I know that God called me. God speaks to me. And the evidence is there. People who are young, they understand what I am saying. But the Yabas generation is a problem. I'm not going to discuss anything with anyone who was born before 1994 because it is people of the Yabas generation. Let Ma 2000 come and accept this gospel. When Jesus Christ was asked by the disciples of John why his disciples do not fast, he told them that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. You cannot take old wine and put it into new wineskins. They will tear each other up. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's why we can't find solutions in South Africa. Even in the parliament, the people that are there are people of the Yabas generation. Up until we see Ma 2000 growing into positions, we will never see change. Proverbs 18 verse 17. The first to state a case seems right until another comes and cross-examines him. They stated the case. They told us Adam was the first person. But now we are coming and we are cross-examining them. They don't have the answers. All they have is anger. All they have is threat. They want to give us fear. The Homo sapien is 300 and something thousand years old. You cannot convince a scientist otherwise. Go and read the scriptures and understand what the scriptures is saying, or else you will just embarrass yourself. That's why we are failing to recruit intellects. We are recruiting only people who are of the Yabas generation. The 2000s are looking for answers. Proverbs 25, verse 2. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but it is the honor of kings to search it out. It is the honor of kings to search out a matter. God is always concealing things. He gives us things halfway. But it is for us to scrutinize the scriptures, to reason and understand what the scripture is saying so that we can understand. And we must not apply what the old people applied. Tupac in his video, he said, the old way wasn't working, so it's on us to do what we gotta do. To survive, we need to apply our own mind because we need new solutions. We cannot try to apply the same solution to a problem that is not being solved. That is what we call madness. Matthew 11, verse 15. Whoever has ears, let them hear. You know, ever since I was born, I never met someone who didn't have ears. Everyone has ears. But this thing, this book, you will not hear it if you do not have ears of the spirit. You cannot read this with a yabas mentality and think you can come and solve problems. That's why you will find a person who likes to talk too much. He will call you and say, let us talk about the scripture, wants to argue about that. But when you say, can you apply the scripture practically? Can I bring someone who has a pain? Can you take it away? Can I bring someone who has cancer? Can you take it away? Can I bring someone who has a sickness? Can you take it away? So that we can see that you understand the scripture. The person will say no. All they want to do is argue about what Bas has taught them. But not in this church. This is an online church. Remomo Yeng, online church. We are online. We are not offline. Khotso, ayibelele na.